Hi, Adele. How was the show?
You were there. It was a live one.
I was there.
Premium episode. We flew to Dallas, Texas. Went to the Hilton that we always spend whenever we go to Dallas, Texas.
We spend all of our time in this lovely Hilton.
It's the only place I've ever been. The Hilton Anatole or Anatole.
We looked out over the river that was swollen and engorged with rainwater.
It looked like I think the flats of the Nile must have looked thousands of years ago when the rainy season. In the rainy season,
they had a lot of rain.
Dallas, Texas, sure did. And we were at AnimeCon, A-Kon, and it was super fun.
It was fun. I had a great time.
You spent the entire time in the board game and role-playing game area.
That's right.
Where you belong.
Where I belong.
And it was great. I spent a fair amount of my time in the room where I belong. And then doing stand-up comedy and doing a Dork Forest. And but then coming out to see people's costumes.
Oh, yes.
And super
a lot
fun.
of great costumes. Oh, my gosh. The cosplay at A-Kon is awesome.
It's really the best cosplay I've ever seen. And we were talking about how the dealer room at A-Kon is better than other cons, just because as an anime convention...
Yeah, it's a really nice dealer room.
It's broad. It's broader than just a Comic-Con or a...
right. They don't have a lot of comic book stuff there, which I wouldn't expect, but there's plenty of other stuff and lots of interesting things. Lots of interesting...
Swords and...
Yeah, lots of interesting costumey things for people who like to costume.
Steampunky galore.
Right. And then lots of interesting Japanese things for the people who are just Japanophiles.
Right. And in addition to anime, there's also just Japanophile stuff.
Right.
Candy and...
Yeah, like
and
the
bullshit.
whole booth's full of candy and Japanese snacks.
Yep. Just in case. And so I did a live one. Which was the first night. So lightly attended because this year's goal has been to double the numbers on the live episodes. Did good on the Portland one at the Bridgetown Comedy Festival.
And honestly, I think you did better on this opening night comedy TDF at A-Kon than you have in past years too, because you also had that one 2 years ago that was opening night.
Oh, that was opening night 2 years ago. Yeah, that was a terrible one. There was only 6 people at that one, if I remember correctly.
I think we had about 20.
22. I counted.
22.
At the height, there were 22 people, which was last year's average. 22 people in any town in the world. Remember 22 people in Hong Kong?
That's right.
That's it. So, but this one, A-Kon, it was panel, but it wasn't panel like Bridgetown, where we did panel and everyone talked together. This one, I had 20-minute guests.
Oh, and right. So you basically had 3 guests, each 20 minutes long, and back-to-back in one show.
Back-to-back in one show. And it kind of summed up the con anyway. Because the first guest was Jake Tarbox, who is a manga publisher and translator.
Right.
Fascinating stories about
Not
the
just
publishing.
translation.
Oh, what did he call it?
It's called, and it's called the same thing in games. It's localization.
That's it. Localization, because it's more than translating. It's the whole process. You have to not only just translate the words, but you have to think about the meaning, and you also have to think about, well, how does this... what culturally needs to be adjusted to make it understood by a different right. He had the greatest story about the dirty manga that they tried to sell to Americans as not dirty manga, and then how he got hung out to dry.
Yes,
because he had to take out the smut.
Because the publishers of this dirty manga series did not read all the way through the dirty manga series to find out
it's just super popular.
How dirty it was.
It was all dirty, and then the next one was super violent, and he's like, guys. You gotta read all the manga.
Read all the way through
to know what it is. So that was Jake Tarbox. He was fascinating, and then followed by a comic book artist, an indie guy named Joe Rosales. They were all great.
Yeah,
but it was like
he had a terrific answer, I thought, to people who complain about comic books being sexist. Yeah, because his answer to that was just that there needs to be something for everyone.
Oh, right, because you want to work the whole room.
Right, you want to work the whole room.
And some people just want to see a scantily clad lady in a bikini holding a sword poorly.
Right, and that he said that, and the best artists and the best writers are the ones that not only provide that, but provide all the rest of it too, so that
it's not just the one.
Because the problem with scantily clad bikini babes with swords on the cover of the comics is that girls look at that and go, "Oh, it's not for me. Right. I'm not going to buy it."
Right,
and it might be for them, but But because of the way it's been presented, they have no idea that it is. And in fact, it looks like something that they should shun and run away from.
Right. Instead of just a guy wearing just tighty-whities with a sword coming out of with the hilt just sticking out of his tighty-whities. Who doesn't want to see that guy?
Nobody wants to see tighty-whities.
Okay, not Hercules or Conan. And
if they're in tighty-whities,
Conan
nobody
O'Brien,
wants to see it. Nobody wants to see it. Nobody wants to see tighty-whities.
All right. And then the last guy was Darren Ashmore, who's a PhD and the head of Japan Studies at the University of Japan.
And he was the perfect guy to be your anchor at the end too, because I swear I didn't know where he was going. And he got to the final minute and he just pulled it all together.
And a nice button. That guy was a callback and a button. That guy knows. Might not have been his first Japanese rodeo, Darren Ashmore.
No. And we got up the next morning and went up to the con suite for breakfast, and there he was in full cosplay regalia.
He was wearing a leather trench coat and a leather hat.
He looked great.
He did look great. Everybody looked great. Great episode.